Welcome back to the channel. So we're hoping to make a big push to get this garage completely done. So I have all the ceiling joists in, and I have all the blocking in the middle. And since these are so tall, being 2x10s, I did run a board across the top just to kind of tie them all in so they can't rock back and forth. And I also went ahead and finished up that little wall. And if you remember from the other video, you can see how I framed that in. And I know I got to put a little bit of wood underneath my header here above the garage door. And I haven't put a board on this side yet, because what I'm going to be working on is putting this 2-inch conduit, or I'm sorry, 1.5-inch conduit, in going from my office over to where I'm going to have a projector hanging in the ceiling. So what's going to happen is that 1.5 inch I'm hoping is going to be big enough to run an HDMI cable through and whatever kind of AV cables or whatever I need to get over here to a box to where I can just, I don't know, make some sort of nice cover that can just come out and plug right into the projector. So here I have the 2 boxes I'm going to mount in the ceiling. One of them's going to go right here, and the other one's going to go about right here in the office. Then there's going to be a piece of conduit that goes up into the ceiling, and it's going to go on top of the joist and come over somewhere in here. So if you want to know how far you should put your projector from the wall or from your screen, they have some crazy mathematical formulas online. I was reading through it and I was like, forget this. I can kind of understand it, so if somebody wants me to do a video on it later, I will do it. I saw a projector that I liked, kind of figured out how far I'm gonna be from where I need to put it in the ceiling. And so I'm gonna go about 11 feet off. It's really about 10 feet is where the projector needs to be. But what I'm doing is I'm gonna put the box kind of in the back so I can bring the wires over and up to the projector so I won't be blocking anything. Just because if you've watched this channel, you can see I put way too much effort into things to make sure everything looks really good. I'm kind of a stickler, so that's how I want to get this done. These boxes are just regular double gang boxes. So this can be a little bit of, I guess, redneck engineering, whatever you want to call it. So I'm gonna use a hole saw. This hole saw is just a little bit bigger than the threads. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill a hole in each one of these boxes, kind of keep it away from the edges, and then I'll start putting this conduit in the ceiling. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna glue these ends on, and then these metal block nuts go on the inside, screw down and hold the conduit in place. To glue this together, I'm gonna use this electrical PVC cement. It's obviously very specific for the type of stuff you're gluing. You obviously don't want to use this for plumbing or anything. And you're just going to coat both sides. Try not to let this puddle up. Definitely get enough glue in there. Just push these together, quarter turn, and hold it for a little while. Okay, I have my conduit in the box on this side. It's just kind of sticking out there. So nothing over here is glued yet. Everything's just dry fit. So I'm gonna measure across, see what length of conduit I need, get it all glued together. I don't know if you can see that, but I installed a bracket so this won't move up at the top. And And then to tighten these little lock nuts in here, just get on it and then just kind of pull. I've already got this tight. I don't know if you can see that, but you just kind of wedge this against here and then this will spin around clockwise. So it's getting pretty late. I'm gonna get to bed. So today I hope to get all the lights wired in to the ceiling. There won't be actually light fixtures in there, but the boxes will have the wiring in them. So just a recap from a few videos ago. Remember, the power came out of the panel box, came over to this three-way switch, and then I used a 14-3 wire to come over to this other box. And now I have a 12-2 or a 14-2 wire going up to the first box, and then I have another one going over to the second box. And then I already went ahead and hung the other boxes, the other 4 up here in the ceiling, and that's what I'm gonna be running the wires to. So here on this piece of paper is basically what I just talked about. I have, this would have been the panel box over here. You have the first switch, the 14-3 wire comes over to the other switch over there. And then I have the 14-2 wire that comes up to the first box and the second box. So ignore this right now, this wire in here to the third box. This is what I have set up right now. And I thought this was worth mentioning. So let's say that we run the wire from the second box over to the third box. There's no reason why you have to come over to the next box and the next box and the next box and run it in a straight line. And so what I mean by that is there's no reason why you couldn't just run these wires straight to the other box, but then make a junction here between each box. And there's a bunch of different configurations you can do. Of course, you could do it this way, or you could do it this way. So what I mean by this is there's all kinds of configurations that you can put together to make this circuit work. Doing it this way, you're just gonna have more wires to tie together at one point. So it might be more convenient. It might be more convenient just to go in a straight line. And the reason I illustrate this is there might be a point to where, or there might be a situation to where maybe you want to run a circuit out this way with some lights, and then maybe there's a cubby or something over here to where maybe you'd actually want to tie something off. And so all I want you to know is some of the theory behind this. It doesn't matter which way you tie these together. And if you remember the circuit that I drawn a few videos ago to where all you have to do is create a loop, complete the loop. Well, think about the loop being created here. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but if you imagine the power coming through and coming through the black wires, and then think about it this way. Wherever you come through on a black wire, wherever there is a light fixture and you connect it to the neutral, wherever you complete this loop, that neutral is going to go back to the panel box. So it doesn't matter where you run a black power wire out, as long as you have a neutral to pick it up and take it back to the panel box. Should have drawn a panel box there, sorry about that. Then it doesn't matter how you wire these up. And the only reason I illustrate that, like I said, is just in case there's ever an instance to where you want to run lights out a certain way and then you think that you have to, waste a whole bunch of wire to go back out and hit something else. And I'm going to set up this configuration just to kind of illustrate that this is going to work. I don't know if I have to convince anybody, but I figure you're all intelligent people, you're following me, but yeah, this is the way I'm going to wire this up in my shop, just to show you. So at this stage, you're gonna have these boxes and they're gonna have different numbers of wires in them. So the one here on the very end, and actually the other two there, they only have one wire. So that's really straightforward. Just hook it up like a regular light fixture. Come over to the light box here and it has two wires. This is over by the door. And then come over one more box. And there's gonna be three wires. And there'll also be three wires in this one. And so what I have here is a mock box, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do up in the ceiling, but I'm just going to do it here. So this is the light fixture I'm going to be hooking up. These are plastic. They're $1.78 at Lowe's. Once again, not a sponsor. And what I'm going to be doing is just using these temporarily. And then there's those super bright lights, the one that I've had in here. I don't know if you noticed it in previous videos, but I'm just going to screw those in here until I get my drywall done, and then I'll actually put real light fixtures in. But just for a basement or something like this, these things are awesome. And also with this light fixture, I only want to use one of these screws, so I'm going to pigtail out. I'm going to connect all these wires together, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. And then I'm just going to run one wire from each one of these screws, from one screw, and I'm going to hook it up to these wires here. So if I ever go to replace when I go to replace a light fixture, I'll be able just to snip these ends off, and I'll still have the wires available to where I can just hook into my new light fixture. So the first thing with this coming out of the ceiling, and this is used Romex, that's why it looks like garbage. So the first thing you want to do is get all of these relatively even. So just take your snips, find the shortest wire, and just get them all pretty close to even. They don't have to be perfect. Take your utility knife and very carefully, because once again, you don't want to cut the wires inside. You're just gonna gently score the coating, and then the last inch, it doesn't matter. You can just cut right through it. Of course, me being overly cautious, I didn't get it scored well enough. You want to get this scored pretty far back up into the box here. And then however you want to do this with a utility knife, or I just use snips. So you just have your wires exposed. I don't know if you can see in there, but I still have some coating left. Definitely don't strip this all the way back to where you remove all of the outside jacket. I guess I'm calling it coating, the outside jacket. I'm going to be using these connectors. If you want to use wire nuts or something like that, strip these back maybe 3/4 of an inch or so. I'm not going to strip them back quite that far. You only need to push these in just a little ways for these connectors. So I'm going to go in about 3/8 of an inch, 1/2 an inch at the most. And what I'm doing here can be used, I'm using 3 wires here, but you can certainly use this for the box that has 2 wires as well. Imagine this up in the ceiling. So I don't know if you noticed something about this, but it doesn't have a ground. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a couple pieces of wire and make little pigtails here. Whenever you hook wires onto a screw, these are always going to screw on clockwise. So put your wire on so it loops around clockwise. So it'll look like that. So it loops around clockwise. And then actually I tighten these down. And then when you tighten down your screw, it doesn't cause the wire to try to pull back the other way, try to unwind the other way. And of course, black goes to gold, the white goes to silver. there's a couple reasons why I'm doing it this way. One is convenience. Like I said, once I get ready to replace these, I can just snip these off here at the end. I'll have these 2 wires that I'll be able to hook up right to my new fixture. The other thing is how are you gonna hook up all these wires to these screws? So first of all, let's take the grounds, get them out of the way. And these connectors come in 2 holes, 3 holes, or 4 holes. I generally use the 4 holes just so I don't run out, like I'm not doing something and run out of holes there. And then you're just gonna gently tuck this up into the box, kind of out of the way. Then take your connector, doesn't matter which one you do next, we'll do the black. So push in all your wires, and it's nice because it's clear at the end, so you'll see how far your wires went in, made sure they make a good connection. And then, of course, this will be up in the ceiling. Then you would just hook in the black wire, and then you'll do the same thing with the white wire. This is a lot easier when it's in the ceiling, by the way. Okay, and then you just neatly tuck these into the box, and then there'll be a couple screws that come with these that you'll put in to those holes after you get these lined up, and you'll screw them in, and then just screw in a light bulb. So I'm gonna hook up 4 light fixtures, but this end box here isn't gonna be one of them. Neither is that next one. And so what I did is I stripped the Romex back, just like I'm going to connect it up, but I didn't strip the wires back. All I did is tuck them up in the box. These are going to be hot, and so, well, the black's gonna be hot. And all I did is just kind of separate these wires. This box is 10 feet off from the floor, so I'm not gonna hit it with anything. And the only part that can conduct is just the very end of that wire. So I'm gonna do this with a couple boxes. If you want to, if you'd feel safer, if you ever have to do something like this, you can always put wire nuts on the end of it. I'm not really that worried about it. Okay, I had the light fixtures in that I want to put in. And the reason I didn't get a bunch of these is they're about $30 a piece. And I've actually bought one of them from Lowe's and it stopped working. So I don't really want to invest in those. I want to just put in the other ones that I have stored up. Okay, so I'm going to turn out the construction lights, turn on these other lights. Oh yeah, it's pretty bright in here now. So obviously I've got a couple dead spots with these other lights not being in, but also keep in mind if I ever need more light, I'll have a light under each one of these little cubby areas. So all I have left to do is get those boards across the top on this side, and I had to put in that piece of conduit first to see where those need to land, and then where I need to maybe put an extra piece of blocking. Like I said, it's just to keep everything from tilting over. It's not like there's a floor or anything up there, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. In the next video, I want to finish putting in all of the outlet boxes, and I need to put an outlet box in for the conduit up there. Right next to the conduit, that's where that projector is going to go. And I'm going to center a ceiling fan box somewhere, I don't know, maybe like off to the side there, in between these lights. And I'll show you how I'm gonna hook that up because it's not gonna be hooked up to a switch. So after the wiring's done, I have a bunch of insulation here I'm gonna get put in place. After the installation, I'll get the drywall hung up. Shouldn't take too long to finish it, get it painted and primed, and get this place kind of organized, kind of remove in, I guess. I've been moving stuff around like crazy, so kind of getting sick of it. So I really want to get done. Hopefully, maybe the next 3 videos or something, somewhere in there, 3 or 4 videos, will be completely done with this. So look forward to those. And we appreciate everyone who has subscribed and supports our channel. And we thank you for watching.